Let's move to 4 effective methods for having spiritual conversations with secular people. The first one is this: coaching. Coaching helps an individual identify next steps through asking powerful questions. When I fly, I prefer to take a nap. That's what I like to do on the airplane. And many times I'll work late and know that I'm flying, so I have an opportunity to sleep. Well, I hope that I don't fall asleep on the shoulder of the person next to me. But on this particular day, as I took my seat, I met a young man by the name of Jay. Here's what I learned about Jay fairly quickly. Jay was 27 years old. He was beginning his accounting career. He was headed out for a guy's weekend. Well, what happens on a guy's weekend? Mostly things that you don't talk about later, unfortunately. He says he laughs at jokes that he wouldn't if he was serious. That's an interesting comment. He admits that he has a drinking problem, that he grew up in a broken home. And he thinks it's strange that his current girlfriend is a Christian, as was his previous girlfriend. So, here's a question. What approach should I take with Jay? Jay wants to talk. We're going to have a good conversation here. What approach should I take? Do I share with him about the Sabbath because perhaps he's needing some rest in his life? Should I direct him toward a Seventh-day Adventist church? Do I let him know that his body is the temple of the Holy Spirit, so he should be giving up drinking? Well, to give you an idea about how bad I was at these kind of conversations, I want to share with you what happened with somebody who had a different belief system than me. It was on that trip over to England to go to school. It was a long flight, and I happened to be seated next to a priest. I began to wonder, what truth can I share with him? And so I decided that I would begin to unpack for him the doctrine of the state of the dead, soul sleep. And so I began into a Bible study. I didn't ask him if he was interested. I just started into a Bible study. The next thing I knew is he hit the call button and asked the steward that came by if he could find another place to sit. Total disaster, complete mess up. So now I'm on this 90-minute flight. Jay wants to talk. I'm not going to be getting a nap. What approach will I take, and what do I hope the outcome of that conversation will be? This is where I decided to try coaching, the tool of coaching, with Jay. What is coaching? Coaching is asking open-ended, powerful questions. Questions based on what Jay is saying. Questions based on a goal that he sets. And the goal that I'm looking at in this conversation is a simple one: to help Jay identify the next steps in his life to where he wants to be. One of the most important qualities of a coach is curiosity. Jay had told me a number of interesting things about his life, so I began to go down one of those paths with some questions. And here's what I ask. Jay, why do you think you keep finding Christian girls to date? He'd given me permission to ask that question because he told me about it. Well, he answered that question and in essence said, perhaps they have something in their lives that I really need in my life. The next question. Jay, if they have something, I'm listening. He's told me they have something in their lives that he might want in his life. So here's the question. Where would you like to be in your life spiritually? Jay said, this is where I'm at. This is where I'd like to be. This is becoming a deep conversation. So the next question is very simple. What would it take to get from here over to here? At this moment, Jay paused. I could tell he was in deep thought. And he said, Tom, I'm afraid it would take a crisis for me to get serious about God. I said, Jay, you just told me it would take a crisis to get serious. How does that make you feel? Jay said, it makes me feel scared. Now, as the plane is about to land, we'd had a great conversation. I always like to ask 2 final questions whenever I'm coaching with someone. First one's this: who can help you reach your goal? Now, if I'm giving advice, I might advise Jay that his girlfriend would be great to give him counsel, support, encouragement as he pursues a relationship with God. But coaching says The questions need to be open-ended, and I need to allow Jay to answer, not me to give him my opinion or my advice. So I said, Jay, who can help you reach your goal? His answer surprised me. He said, my mom. He said, my mom's just renewed a relationship with God, and I'm sure she'd be glad to help me. Well, that led me to the final question. When would you like to approach your mom to help you? He said, just as soon as I get back from this guy's weekend, I'm gonna connect with my mom on this. I let Jay know that I would be praying for him, and I was excited about this decision that he'd made in his life. Now I want to ask you a question. How do you think Jay felt about this conversation? Was it uncomfortable? Was it uneasy? Was it unpleasant? No, in fact, Jay had quite the opposite response. He said to me these very words, thank you for helping me to get closer to where I want to be in my life. In fact, he was so excited as we were sitting there next to each other in the chair, in the seats, he reached over and shook my hand, thanking me. As we got up and we took our bags from up above and brought them down, again, he shook my head, said, thank you for that conversation. It was so helpful. We walked off the plane together, and before we parted ways, Jay shook my hand one more time and said, thank you for that conversation. It felt amazing. And what was exciting is Jay had made some decisions in his life to take a step with God. What's a biblical basis for this? Simply when God asked Moses, hey, what's that in your hand? That's a great coaching question that Moses had to reflect on.